So far, we've been working with one assistant only. But this isn't really a problem. With AssistantJS, you can add or remove assistants without hassle. So let's add Google Assistant to our existing voice application now. As you may know, Api.ai is the main natural language understanding entity used by the Google Assistant. So for our transition to Google Assistant, let's create an Api.ai agent first. So for a nice start, Api.ai gives us some basic default intents. We can just safely delete them. In our Alexa skill, we created a custom slot for our places, which have been train station and airport. Since there is no predefined entity for these values in Api.ai, let's create one on our own and just save it. As I've shown with integrating Alexa before, adding additional assistants is mainly a matter of installing additional components. For Google Assistant, we primarily need two components, one for Api.ai and one for the additional specifics of the Google Assistant platform. Separating the Api.ai integration from the general Google Assistant integration also enables you to use Api.ai without Google Assistant, for example, for your own assistant. Okay, let's install the Api.ai component using npm install assistant Api.ai save. And also remember that you have to integrate your newly installed component to your index.ts. We also want to do the same for one additional component called assistant generic utterances. This is because Api.ai does not know anything about predefined intents like Alexa does, but since we are still too lazy to define utterances on our own, we want this component to integrate a fallback. So install it and also add it to your index.ts. Now let's configure our Api.ai component the same way we've done it here with our Amazon Alexa component. Let's first import the configuration interface and create your configuration hash to specify the route, as we've done with Alexa over here, and also the entities the same way we've done with Alexa over here. So map assistant places to the Api.ai entity places we just created in the Api.ai interface. Also, don't forget to add your newly created configuration to this hash below. And yeah, we're done. That's actually it. Compile your application and rerun your generator. And as you see now, there's also an output for Api.ai. Now switch to the named folder where you will find a zip file. Now reopen your Api.ai console, open the settings, export and import settings, and just use this import from zip button. Now drop your zip file in here. Just type import, click import. And as you see now in the intent overview, they are all intents of your application. Now we still need to link Api.ai with the ngrok tunnel, which leads to our AssistantJS server in the end. So add your ngrok server here in the fulfillment section. Don't forget to add the configured route, which is now Api.ai. And enable your webhook for all domains. Okay, now of course we need to restart our server. But notice you're now able to also add assistant Api.ai to your debug environment variable to get the Api.ai specific output. And your server is running, so you're ready to test it. Just do something like, what's the next bus to the train station? And as you see, the output is the next bus at train station arrives in 6 minutes. Do you want me to buy a ticket? Let's use yes. Alright, just send a ticket to your smartphone. So it's exactly the same dialog model as we're having in the Alexa skill. And if you switch again to your debug output, you'll now see that there is Assistant Alexa, which says that the incoming request did not match for the Assistant Alexa configuration, which is correct. And there's Assistant Api.ai, which says that this is an Api.ai request. All right, Api.ai works. Now let's integrate Google Assistant. Let's first install the component Assistant Google. And again, add it to your index.ts. And we're done already. Now compile your application, restart your application server, and switch to your Api.ai integrations page. Enable actions on Google over here. And now be sure that you choose invoke generic intent as your welcome intent. And then you're able to test it in the simulator. So let's just use talk to my test app.
Sure, here's the test version of my test app.
Nice to have you here, Googler.
And as you've just heard, there's this specific greeting for Google users we configured in our translation JSON earlier. So we can ask for the next bus.
Love to help you. The next bus to airport arrives in 6 minutes. Do you want me to buy a ticket?
Let's say no.
Cancelled, but maybe next time.
So now your voice application finally runs on Amazon Alexa, on Api.ai, and on Google Assistant.